Your subscription metrics suck. Running a business without the proper metrics, it's like driving on the highway at 70 miles an hour without being able to see out the windshield, having a compass, or even a speedometer. Frankly, most subscription metrics are created by data geeks flexing their coding abilities rather than actual subscription leaders who understand how to scale recurring revenue businesses. Let's discuss the metrics you should demand immediately and how to use them within this episode of Be Unleavable Subscription Growth. Welcome to Be Unleavable Subscription Growth. I'm your host, Robert SKROB. When you're losing subscription metrics like lifetime value or average churn rates, it feels like you might be doing well. After all, it's what other people are talking about. You can go to subscription meetings and compare churn rate numbers, and it looks like that's working. However, several months down the road, it all ends in frustration, disagreement, and confusion. When you're looking at metrics such as churn rate, IRPU, or average lifetime value, they don't really help you manage your business any better than looking at the weather each day and trying to use today's temperature, humidity, and rainfall totals to somehow inform what you do in your business. For instance, they'll have those averages that they publish to provide you a comparable of average churn rate versus maybe your churn rate. It's about as useful as using today's temperature outside your home compared to an average temperature of all the houses around the country or all the towns around the country, and using that comparison to decide what you're going to wear today. Doesn't make any sense, does it? Neither does comparing your churn rate to some average. The problem with subscription metrics that provide a mean or a churn rate for ARPU, maybe for B2C SaaS, is that you have no idea what you're comparing with. Sure, there are thousands of examples built into the composite, but maybe somebody's using free trial offers and you're not. And you're calculating based on a mean without having any idea about their price strategy, their growth goals, their offers that they use, and the comparisons are really meaningless. And then beyond that, most of the comparisons involve all kinds of different subscription businesses, just pretty much anybody who puts into the calculator. And so you might have kind of somebody who's using an access model like Costco, for instance, MDVIP or Rich Dealers, and each of them have a very different price and subscription model than I'm sure you do. And then for SaaS examples, you got MailChimp, who has a freemium model, a Slack has freemium, but Intuit doesn't, but Intuit has a much lower conversion rate than does MailChimp, and so it doesn't really track the same way if you're trying to compare ARPU, and different businesses of different types of categories are being compared to you. And if you would like to have this document with these different comparisons, there's 9 different models, and I'm happy to give it to you. Just go to 9subscriptionmodels.com and it's going to download for you right away. No opt-in or anything. You got the link right there directly to the file on the S3 server. But back to metrics. When you're trying to use these comparisons and you're looking at them, there's certainly thousands of examples built into that composite. But just because somebody can calculate a mean doesn't mean it's meaningful. And you've probably felt this frustration when you use the data. And of course, who wouldn't want just to be able to log in, plug in your data, and have all these reports and pretty charts created? It feels like a massive win. You get this great dashboard, but the problem is it's all noise and no signal. And it really creates 3 main problems when subscription businesses try to use this data. Number one, you start trying to manage the averages. For instance, I've seen over and over again, a business that, let's say it has a churn rate of 8% a month. On a monthly churn rate of 8% a month for a subscription business, which means they keep their subscribers an average of 12 months. And so they go, well, we want to keep, they come up with a strategy. We're going to keep our subscribers, instead of an average of 12 months, we're going to keep them 14 months. And so what we're going to do is at month 10, we're going to give them all this good stuff. And then they're going to stay an extra 2 months. But what those averages hide is that by the time if you've got an 8% churn rate, by the time you get to month 10, you only got 15% of the subscribers that you started with. 85% of your opportunity is gone. And the other thing you'll see is that you have a much bigger opportunity when you're using what I'm going to propose. You really discovered that you have a much bigger opportunity the first 2 months than you ever do towards the tail end of that average. Now, averages really are worthless when it comes to managing your subscription business. Next, you start to really manage outputs rather than inputs. And this is a very key difference in in how you manage your business. Being focused on what you're doing and what you're asking your people to be accountable for, rather than looking at some numbers on a dashboard and trying to move those. And the fact is that if you're trying to focus on outputs, it's only going to lead to frustration and really churn, not just in your subscribers, but also on your team. And then number 3, I see that these dashboards really create targets that are not congruent with the best interest of your business. You're focusing on the wrong measurements, and you're trying to solve for the wrong outcome. I see, for instance, subscription businesses that use a free trial offer, and they're trying to, or any kind of trial offer, and maybe they're trying to maximize the number of trials they get versus the number of paid subscribers that they're generating, because they think that the number of trials automatically leads to the other. And when you're really measuring this, you really discover fast that that's not true at all. So look, I just want to tell you that it's not your fault. No one in the subscription world is talking about this. And while I've been working with my clients for years to create meaningful metrics that we'll show you in just a moment, I've never talked about this publicly. And I really don't want to ruffle any feathers and make anybody feel bad. But I got to tell you, I'm really over that now. I'm interested in helping you make your recurring revenue growth exponential again, rather than sparing the feelings of people who are calculating and publishing means. The key problem with all these metrics is that it doesn't reveal when your subscription growth rate is decelerating. Someone will brag to me about their churn rate when they don't even understand or acknowledge that they had a 50% growth rate last year and a 25% growth rate this year. That's absolutely the wrong direction. That's the number you should be paying attention to. And frankly, subscription metric dashboards reveal nothing about why your growth rate is slowing down. Got a lot of great information coming up in just a moment. I'm going to show you the metric dashboard you should be paying attention to, along with the 4 metrics that feed that. If this video has been helpful so far, please click the like button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell to be notified so that you will see the new videos that I produce before anyone else, and we can help grow your subscription revenue together. When using subscription metrics, you've got to be able to distinguish signal from the noise, distinguishing variance in the data versus the result of a change that you've implemented. So often you see that there might be blips up and blips down, and that's just normal variability versus are you implementing something that is making that change actually happen. The key driver, the key dashboard that you really should be paying attention to, number one, and priority A, is your cash flow forecast. It gives you an entirely different level of understanding over what's going on in your subscription business. Rather than churn rate, you're really looking at the details of your retention from month to month and being able to plot that so that for the new subscribers. You plot your new subscribers differently than your long-term subscribers so that you're able to see the impacts that you're able to have at different levels of your business. And that rather than trying to manage for averages, you're focused on the real data of what's really happening in your business and being able to zero in on the key distinctions. One of the things when you are driving on your cash flow forecast, that when you really drill down to the numbers, what you'll discover is that there's really four main drivers of a subscription business. And that is, there's four systems. And you got to think of them like systems. And systems, you're watching the metrics. You're usually on a machine or a system. You've got kind of a gauge, and that gauge is telling you how that system is working. And then you can manage that gauge in order to get to your destination. You get the output that you're trying to create. And that rather than, most people were like, all right, I'm going to gear up and I'm going to do a, member attraction where, I'm going to try to generate some leads. Whereas that's really a system, a process that should always be happening, that always is generating leads, and that you can dial it up or dial it down based on how that machine is operating on a given time. So attraction is really focused on generating new traffic into your business, and you are measuring that by cost per lead, CPL. Conversion metric is focused on converting those leads into paid customers, and you look at that by that initial transaction yield, which is the dollar value of the initial transaction with any upsells or anything like that you have in that transaction, divided by your the cost per sale. So that you're able to measure the yield that you're generating from your marketing on day zero when you're generating that purchase. Then the on-ramp is really focused around that first 100 days. Most people just lump all the retention in to one category, but when you break this out and you're focused on the first 100 days separate and apart, one, you'll discover that they're really two different things. A new subscriber in your world for the first 100 days behaves very differently than a subscriber that's been around for 2 years. They have very different beliefs. They have very different understanding of what your business does and how it operates. And they need different communication. And by the way, they have a whole much higher opportunity to impact the value of that lifetime of that customer if you're managing it within the first 100 days. The trajectory from up in a lifetime value to churn and lost subscriber really happens for the majority of your subscribers within that first 100 days, even if kind of they hang on a little bit longer. Over and over again, we can have the biggest impact on average churn rates and average lifetime value and average length of subscriber in your subscription program when you focus on that first 100 days. And then next is retention. It's really a different piece of your communication and how you interact with your subscribers. And I'll just cover this very briefly, but I'm sure you can't see these numbers, and that's okay. But when you get into these metrics, you'll see that there are certain cost drivers around each. And so we're just pulling the relevant data off your cash flow forecast and putting it into this report so that you can see how each of these metrics are moving through your business, monitoring each of these machines, each of these systems that are driving forward in your subscription business. So this gives you not only what's happening now, but this paired together with your cash flow forecasts gives you an indication of what your business is generating. And so when you're able to look at the dashboard and look at these key systems, you can say, hey, how can we impact that initial transaction and increase that transaction value? Or, you know what, we right here, we've got a drop in month 3 to 49% of the subscribers that we started with. How can we have a positive impact from month 2 to 3? And right here in this particular example, there is a 12% churn rate just in that 1 month alone. It's a much bigger opportunity than focusing on what's going on in month 10 and trying to do something there. So these are the sorts of insights that you're going to get when you focus on your cash flow forecast and grow your subscription in that way. Again, if you would like to get a copy of those 9 subscription models, you're certainly welcome to. Grab that at 9subscriptionmodels.com, and that's just a link right to the file that sits on the S3 server. So it's just going to download directly into your browser. There is no opt-in or anything. Just happy to make that available for you. Is this informative for you? If it is, share this video with somebody who needs to watch it. If you're a subscription manager, share this with your team. Or if you're an investor who's tired of seeing your money spent and management's not able to give you answers to your questions, and maybe they have a cash flow forecast or maybe they don't. Either way, get this to them and help them grow your subscription business and make the most out of that company. If this has been helpful, click that like button, subscribe to the channel, click the bell so that you're notified as new videos come up, and you'll be able to watch these new videos before anyone else. I can't wait. If you have any questions, help, or comments, feel free to post them in that chat. But driving your subscription business using cash flow forecasts, breaking into those key systems so that you're able to manage each of these based on the data that's coming through that cash flow forecast, being able to monitor and track how this machine is operating both now and what it portends in the future will help you identify before that growth slows down. You'll see it well before investors or somebody else sees it, and it'll give you like a 12-month or 18-month warning that things are not happening the way they need to within the early phases of the system, so that you can make changes immediately, react fast, see where the breakdowns are, be able to react, implement new systems, and make your subscription recurring revenue exponential again. Can't wait to see what you do with this. Let me know if there's anything I can help you with. Post any questions or comments below. And I'll see you on the next episode of Be Unleavable Subscription Growth.